Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here. And today I am doing a tutorial showing you how to make some fun flower charms that you could use, well, kind of a flower tassel, I guess, that you can use for maybe a fairy journal. It's a great way to use up some odds and ends of silk flowers or die cut flowers, or, maybe some scrap fabrics that you can cut into flowers. But for PandaHall, I am using the head pins that I got from them. I'm going to take them out of this big bag here. They are in a little bag. Now, when I bought these, I bought a package specifically knowing that I'm going to be doing lots of things with these. So you will see me make reference to these many, many times in other videos, and I will remind you that they came from PandaHall. And this was a 500 gram package of head pins. So they are about 2 inches long, and they are called head pins because they have a little flat bottom to kind of hold the beads on, and then you load them with beads and make a loop at the top. But we're going to do a few different things with these today. And so that was one of the things that I got recently. And then the next thing is these spacer charms, or spacer beads. I mean, they go in between beads to give you a decorative look, as well as to extend and break up the beads so that you can see different colors. And you'll see how we're using these today. And then the jump rings, I got in a different order a while back, and I hadn't used them yet, so we're going to use those today as well. The other things that I brought to the table are some pieces of chain that I have in my stash. This is a broken necklace that I'm going to cut from, and I will show you how in a second. And I brought some little these are kind of like a stopper bead. It's just a 3mm bead that I would put on the head pin first and then load up with other beads, just to make sure that the bead holes, in case they're too big, that they don't come off the head pin itself. And then I have just an assortment of blase beads that I'm using. It's just whatever I had in my little container here on the side. I'll get this out of the way. And then I brought some flowers. So I have these roses. I'm going to pick a couple off of. This is like a vine that I got from somewhere. I don't know. Knowing me, secondhand somewhere, either in a store or a garage sale. I always pick these up, and if they're dirty, I throw them in some dishwater and wash them. And if they're clean, well, then they're good to go. So I have those, and I have some other flowers here too that I'm going to show you with, and when we do a second one. So I am going to take these plastic caps off of here. This is what holds the whole flower together. And when you take these apart, the flowers are usually in several sizes. Now, sometimes these come off easy, sometimes not so easy. So I have a pair of cutters here. I'm just going to cut or pull this sort of off of here. There we go. So I'm going to discard this. I have quite a few in a collection. I'm going to use them one day and show you something fun. But I'm just pulling the petals off of here. And this one has, I think there's 4 petals. But I'm just breaking them down to the different sizes, because ideally you want them to be in different sizes so you can kind of cascade to make your piece. And half the fun is when you get to see it at the end. So I have, this now has 4 petals compared to this one is 3, and it's a little bit smaller size. And then this one has a smaller petal yet, and it's kind of a star-shaped petal. Now, my personal choice is to work with about 6 to 8 flower heads. So for this one, I'm going to use 8. So I'm going to use 2 of these flower heads to make this. These turn out so cute and make a really pretty tassel for the outside of your journal cover, or to hang from a tab that just floats around on the outside of the journal. It's a little big to put on the inside, but for the outside, it's really cute, like down the spine. So I'm going to get rid of those 2 and the little flower center here that I have. Okay, so I have about 8 pieces here. Now, normally, I would also work with eye pins, but my eye pins are on the other side of the room. And I kind of on purpose didn't bring them because I want to show you how you can take a head pin and turn it into an eye pin. Because if you don't have an eye pin, this is a great way to do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut that little nail top or the head of the head pin. I'm going to cut it right off. Now this is a paid promotion, and I do get a free product from PandaHall in order to show you this demonstration. So other YouTube channels, if you're out there and you want to demonstrate for them, the requirements are pretty basic. So just go to their website. I've got the link in the description box below, and you can contact them direct. They actually have a link to become an associate or an affiliate with them. So there is a way to get free product for your YouTube channel and to be able to showcase with your YouTubers different products from PandaHall. Now, if you're not a YouTube channel and you want to be able to get some of these products, I have the links to all the descriptions in the description box of this video below. As well, I have a playlist called PandaHall, and if you click on any of the links in this video and go to PandaHall, it'll take you right to the product, show you how much it is, show how much you get with it. And I also have a coupon code, so you can take advantage of getting some fabulous prices. It's 10%, and so you can get some fabulous prices for some of the products that we're working with today. And great company to work for, and the products come very quickly. So I took I'll tell you more about that in a second, but I took the little head pin off of the end off of this, and I'm going to make a little eye loop. I'm using a pair of needle nose or round nose pliers, and I'm just going to grab it right at the end and roll it to touch the other end of the pin. So if you can see that. That's what I've done. So I've made it into an eye pin. And the reason I want an eye pin is because I want to be able to connect something onto here afterwards. So I'm just going to tighten it up with my pliers just so that it's closed. And then taking a random bead out of my container, I'm just going to use these. It's about, I think it's about a 1/4 inch in diameter. It's probably around a 6 to 8 millimeter bead. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're not going to see it anyway. So I'm sticking it on this pin so you can see I have now a little eye at the end of it. And I'm going to gather these flowers onto this pin. Now they conveniently have a hole. If you're making die cut flowers out of paper or fabric using your die cutting systems, you may have to poke a hole using a pokey tool of some kind. But I'm just feeding these flower pieces one by one, kind of staggering them a little bit so that they're not all lining up together on top of this pin. In this case, we're calling it an eye pin. And PandaHall does sell eye pins, and I do have them, but they're at the other end of the room. But I'm showing you that this is an alternative. You know, maybe you only want to get one kind of pin, and then you can use these for making eye pins as well. So now I'm going to feed the next size down. Oh, I still have that piece of plastic here. Okay, so I'm going to feed that onto this wire. Now you can add glitter on these and sparkly things and all kinds of fun stuff, especially when you see how easy these are to make. Okay, so I've got all those on here. And now I'm going to add these smaller flowers. And again, stagger them so that they aren't laying on top of each other in the exact shape. It just gives you a little bit more petals. So if you look at it right now, it's kind of looks like almost like a flat Christmas tree, right? Because the petals are small to large all the way down. And if I had smaller ones, I could put smaller ones on top as well. And then if you look on this side, you see the flower center here with this pearl coming out of it with the eye pin, the eye of the pin there. So I'm just going to lay this down. Well, maybe I better put my a tool on top, like my scissors or something, just to lay it down like this. Now I have bead caps, but I'm trying to show you how you can do this without bead caps, because I can put a bead cap on and finish it off and it's done. But not everybody has bead caps. Not everybody has the right size of bead caps when you want to start doing stuff like this, because the bigger this is, the bigger the bead cap you need. So there is a super easy alternative. Now I'm going to need these scissors, so I'm going to use a different tool to hold this up because I don't want it to come off just yet. Hopefully I won't need that right away. And I just have some scrapbook paper here, just regular scrapbook paper. And I'm going to, well, first I'll cut a little square. It's probably about 1.5 inches, but I'm going to cut it down to about a little bit bigger than an inch square. So there's an inch square on my board. So it's just a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to just round it. So it's pretty much, the idea is to make a 1-inch round circle. But if you don't have a tool handy and you want to do this quickly, this works fine. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use my pokey tool and I'm going to poke a hole in the middle as close as I can get. It's not perfect. If you look on this side, it's a little bit off. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right up to that hole. And then I'm going to take the two ends and kind of roll them to make kind of a cone shape. And it's not going to line up. You can see it doesn't line up because I didn't cut a perfect hole, and I may not have put the hole in the right I didn't cut a perfect circle, and I may not have put the hole in the right space. So yeah, it's going to overlap. That's okay. But now, holding the whole thing together, I want to open this up and put a little bit of glue. Now you can use your white glue, your Aleene's glue, your tacky glue, you know, your glue stick, but it does take a little longer to catch. So I'm just using the hot glue so that I catch it quite quickly and hold it in place. And then I want to make sure that the hole is in there, because sometimes it disappears. It gets caught up in the glue, or in the roll. So I'm just taking my pokey tool and poking it one more time. And the reason you need to make the hole the first time around is so that you can cut up to it and then roll it up. So you do need that hole event, at the beginning. So taking my scissors, I'm just going to kind of round this so it doesn't look so blunt and that there's those leftover pieces hanging down. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And just making it into that cone shape. Do you see that? It's like a 3D cone now. So now I'm going to take this flower and pulling and holding everything up to that bead. You can actually just kind of even hold underneath the bead. I'm going to put this cap that I've made on the top of it. And then I'm going to bend the wire just a little bit so that nothing comes off. So I'm going to bend this down. So that's now holding it basically in shape. Isn't that pretty? It's coming along nice. And then I'm going to take, where'd my beads go? Oh, here they are. I'm going to take a couple of these little stopper beads, I call them. I'm going to put one of those on here. And you just kind of have to hold it all in place. And then I'm going to put one of those little pearls that I just finished using on here. And I'm going to take one of these little spacer beads and put that on. And, you know, it's up to you. I'm just digging from what I have here. This might be a little too big. I'm going to use this little pearl. And that's all I'm going to put on here. Okay, can you see that? And I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to bend that wire. So then again, nothing's going to come off. I'm holding it all together and I'm going to bend it to create that L shape so that nothing is going to come off. I can actually take my fingers off of here now and those beads are going to hold on here very nicely. Now this part here, it's conveniently the right length for me. If it wasn't, if it was longer, I would say to cut it down to about 1/4 of an inch. But I tend to like to use all the space that I can when I'm making anything like this. So if it was longer, I probably would have added more beads just to use it up. But in this case, it is the right length. So I'm now going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to, again, grab the end of it and I'm going to roll it right back towards that bead. I hope you can see that. You may have to zoom in and just close it up to the other side of the pin. So now I have an eye pin at the top as well. And then I have the eye pin at the bottom. So this is coming along really, really cute. And you see how I've made this cap. So this, it's like a heavier, it's not paper, it's a heavier paper, it's not cardstock. But you could use cardstock to make this, you could use your embossed papers, maybe you have some decorative handmade paper that you can use. I'm just using this because it was on my desk and it was a reasonably close color to this flower, so that is what I'm using. But we're not finished yet, because I have all of this chain. Now, something like this is a little too heavy to use, but this necklace came with a bunch of layers of chain. I've been cutting off of it, so there's not as much left over, it was much more full than this. It had several layers. So I'm just going to take this one off of this chain here. Ooh, wrong tool. I'm just taking a plier. I'm just opening up this jump ring. Now, some jump rings you need 2 pairs of pliers to open it, but these are pretty soft, so I'm opening them up just like that. So I'm taking this chain off, and then take this. This is a slightly larger jump ring than what I have in the package here, and I'm going to use that afterwards. Now, moving all these scraps out of the way, I'm just going to take, now this chain looks pretty long. I don't really measure, but I know that I want it to come past the bottom of the flower. Okay, so it's going to eventually hook on to this eye pin on the inside here. So I want it to be a little bit longer. And I'm making 4 lengths coming down. Let's see. So I'm just giving you an idea. It's about 5 inches long. So I'm going to cut the other one about the same. I don't like them to be exact, so I'm going to cut it just a little bit shorter. Okay. And I just take a cutting tool to cut the chain. I don't try to open it up. Some of these are so tiny that it's impossible to open them up. So I just break the chain with the cutters, and that works just fine. And now taking the smaller jump ring that I have, these are the ones that I got from PandaHall, and I will have the link to them below in the description box. So I'm taking 1 for each one there, and I'm going to open this up. Actually, I probably only need 1. Where's the end there? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. So you can see it's open. And grabbing the chain, I'm just going to grab a link somewhere in the not quite middle, because I don't want it to be even. You can see how there's one is a little bit longer than the other. And then I'm going to grab the other one and do exactly the same thing and stagger them a little bit. So one is longer, one is shorter. So I have 4 pieces of chain now on this one hook just by putting it at the halfway point in the middle. Does that make sense? Okay, and then for this, I think I need an extra pair of pliers, but I'm going to feed this onto this eye hole that we created at the beginning. And this is going to be a little bit of maneuvering here to do. I'm going to, where are my pliers? Oh, I've got one in my hand. Okay. I'm going to grab the other end. Now, you could do this part before you weave your flower on, but it does give you a lot of extra parts that are in the way. So it's a matter of comfort and what you like to do. So I'm going to now meet those 2 jump ring ends and close them together. Now I've done this a lot, so it's not as difficult to do. There we go. I think I got it closed. You can usually hear it click when they've touched each other. But I see it's a little bit, I don't think anything will come off, but I'm just going to close it a little bit more here. Okay, so that's on there pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now I have this chain hanging down from this flower. Isn't this getting cute? And we're going to go back to the head pins. And we're going to make 4 different dangles to dangle down off of this head pin, or off of these chains. So I'm going to take a stopper bead, one of these little 3mm beads. And then I'm going to take a pearl. No, I'm going to put one of these spacer beads on, I think, first. And then I'm going to take a pearl. And then add another one of these little spacer beads up at the top here. And another one of these stopper beads. So that's what I have on the head pin. So if you can look closely again, you'll see that there's the little 3mm bead, and that just the hole is small enough that it's not going to come off that flat part of the pin. And then now I'm just putting these extra beads, the gold, for a little bit more enhancement. Then I'm using the same color pearl that I used on the top here, and then this little bead or spacer bead here, and then another pin at the end. So this one is a small one. And the same thing, now that I've got everything on here, I'm going to take my pliers. Oop. And fold it back so that it's nice and tight in here. Nothing is moving. And you can see that it's kind of an L shape. Like it's got a little bit of an elbow in there. And now I'm going to cut 1/4 inch, and that's what I'm going to use for my loop. Now I don't get rid of this other part. So I'm going to keep that. And then taking my round nose pliers again, I'm going to grab it at the very, very end and hold it tight and roll it, and not quite close it this time. And hope that the beads don't all fall off. My fingers aren't working quite right this morning or today. So I just want you to see how it's sitting. It's not quite closed. And that's because I'm going to put it in the bottom loop of one of these chains. And I'm just picking any one. And so now I've looped it onto that chain and holding all this together. It's a bit of a, you know, you have to grow an extra hand. And then taking my needle nose pliers, I'm going to stick it again into that loop and close it. Now, other people do what's called wire wrapping. If you want to learn how to wire wrap, there are many videos to do wire wrapping. But now I've got my first bead on here. I just make sure that I close them really well when I make these. And then I'm going to choose another one and do the same thing, except I might choose different beads, make them a little bit longer. I'm going to have to add a few more of these into here. Feed on one of those little beads and a spacer and a pearl, one of these creamy colored pearls. I was doing some inking, so I have inky fingers today. And another spacer bead, and this time I'm going to add one of those little white beads just like I did at the top. So adding that onto there. This wire's a little bit crooked. There we go. You can usually just bend them in place. And then I'm going to add another little tiny bead. I don't think I'll put a spacer bead at the top here because it'll be a little bit too much next to this tiny white pearl that I've got here. So the same thing, I'm going to hold all the beads tight down to the bottom of the head pin. And taking my pliers, I'm going to bend the pin so it's like an elbow, L-shaped. What's the word I'm looking for? 90-degree angle. There we go. And then taking my pliers, I'm just going to snip that to about 1/4 of an inch in length. And then holding all the beads on to make sure that they're nice and secure. Taking my needle nose pliers, I'm just going to, round nose pliers, sorry. I'm just going to roll this, but not quite closed, and put it on another one of these chains. I'm going to pick a short one this time. And so now it's on the chain, and I just have to take my round nose pliers and close that loop, that eye pin. 2 down. Let's do the other short one here, and I'm going to do just a little single one where I just have the one bead this time. So small bead, spacer, cream colored bead. Boy, I'm so happy I'm getting these beads used up. These beads sit by my desk, and anytime I have a handful of beads, I throw it in here, and then I just force myself to use them when I'm doing projects. So it's kind of fun to get that. So here I've got that bead on again, or the spacer on again, and I'm going to put another little stopper bead or finishing bead, and then do the same fold. Now, when I do these, I do many at a time, so. And then cut this down to 1/4 inch. And I'm keeping all these little ends, and I'm going to show you why in a second. And then I've cut it down to 1/4 inch, and then taking my round nose pliers, I'm going to roll that, but not quite close it. And feed it on this other short chain. This gives it a very staggered look. I'm kind of cascading. So I now have 3 of them on here. And this last one, just because I had this necklace and it has this chain on here, I thought, oh, that would be fun to put at the end. So I'm going to do that instead. I'm going to open this up. But I'm not going to use this large jump ring. I'm just going to use a small one. Do I have any? Oh yeah, I have another one here on the table. And opening that one up. Like I said, these are soft enough that I can just open them up with my fingers. So if you have any glass crystals or fancy little charms, you can use those the same way as you would use a bead. I like using both. And then I'm going to feed that on here, and then using a second pair of pliers, I'm just going to close this up. And when you open a jump ring, you don't open it away from you like this. You open it crisscross so that when you go to line it up again, it's easier to line up, to close it. And then you can almost, it's like a little clicking sound that you can hear, and you know that you've touched both ends. I mean, you won't hear it on the video, but when you're working with this, you can feel it as you're doing it, and you can hear a little clicking noise. And that's how I always know that I've closed it and that the two ends are touching. So now I have that little charm hanging down from there, and it just happens to have another little loop at the end of here, so I could add even another charm yet, but we're not done. So now I've got this part done, and I'm just going to add another little piece of chain. I see that there's some here. I don't want much, maybe about an inch worth of chain. And because I had these large jump rings, I'm going to put that at one end and close it. And again, these are not my normal tools that I use. I do jewelry upstairs. I don't do jewelry much downstairs. Okay, so I've got it closed. And then I'm going to use another one of these small jump rings on the top of this eye pin. There it is. Open it up. I'm going to feed this chain onto here, and the chain onto the top of this thing, and close the jump ring. So now I have this dangly tassel that I can put on the outside of my journal. And you know, like, it's quite poofy, so it's 3 inches in diameter. Maybe you don't like that wide of a piece. You can always put a little dot of glue and glue it down, or flatten them with an iron a little bit. However you want to like it, but I like it poofy, and I think they make fun little charms. They also make really pretty Christmas decorations. If you wanted to do a tree with some flowers on it, like a fairy tree, they would make really pretty Christmas decorations as well. So the loop at the top is perfect now to add a hook, or to hook it onto a lobster claw or a ball pin or a safety pin if you wanted to pin it on. This would also be cute on a tab on the outside of your journal. So just fun little decorations that you can add on to your pieces. Now, I've done more than one. So I've got this one, and I have this one. And all I did on this one was I added a little butterfly embellishment that I had sitting in the pile. I think I have another one, so I'm going to add that one onto this one. They're so cute. And now this one has a combination of different beads, but I didn't realize I had this little glass charm. So now here again, I'm just taking my charm that I'm going to add on and sitting it on the edge of the paper. I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue and add this butterfly charm in here and just hold. And I have two really cute little charms now. I hope you can see those okay. Now, let's do one where we have some silk flowers. Remember I bought these silk flowers and I took them all apart and washed them in some dish soap. So I've got about 6 pieces here and I'm going to do 7. That's too many, I think. This flower is pretty thick, so I'm only going to use 6 on this one. You just have to play around and see what you like. Taking the head pin, I'm going to put that one bead down the center. And then, this one I wanted to put the eye pin first. Sorry, I'm taking the head pin. I'm just going to go right to the edge and cut off that little flat piece. And then turn this into an eye pin by taking my round nose pliers, grabbing the end of it, rolling it into itself until it hits the rest of the wire, till it hits the wire, so that you have that loop. And then I'm going to add that pearl. Did I put it back? I think I did. I'm going to add the pearl. And all the pearl, oh no, I didn't put it back. There it is. All the pearl does is it holds everything together, and then it gives you a little bit of a base to work with. So now I'm going to add these large flowers onto here, knowing that I have that eye pin there to add chain onto. And I just kind of grabbed them and held them all together with my fingers, staggering them. This has got quite a few petals, so they seem to look nice even if you don't stagger them. And then this one. And then I'm using 2 of these small ones. So this is a great way to, like I said, use your die cutting tools, make some fabric flowers with your die cutting equipment. Now I'm just going to lay that down and put this on top so it doesn't come off. And remember, I made a circle just out of paper. It's like a stronger scrapbook paper, but you could also use a cardstock, would work really well. And yes, you could die cut your circles, but I don't really feel I need to, because by the time you're done, now I'm going to take my pokey tool and poke a hole where I sort of think the middle is. Thereabouts, and then cut into this with my scissors to the circle, to the center, and then just roll this up. So this is an inexpensive way to make bead caps, but if you want to get the fancy bead caps, by all means, PandaHall sells them. They sell an assortment of different bead caps. But this is a way to match your journals using the colors that are perhaps in your journal. And then putting a little bit of glue on it, I'm just going to close the 2 ends. Try not to burn myself because the glue is seeping out here. And then taking my pokey tool one more time, just very gently, I'm going to push that hole to make sure I've got a hole in here again. So hole is there. So now I can pick all of this up, flatten it down, stick this over top. You could even put a little bit of glue on there if you want. Now it looks like a feather duster, doesn't it? And then holding it all together, I'm going to take this wire and bend it. There they are. At a 90-degree angle, or at a elbow, and then add my beads. So I'm going to add a pearl or not a purl, a stopper and a spacer. And I think I saw a little green bead here. Yeah, I have a little green. Oh, I have a yellow one too. I don't know if I have enough room. Let's just see. Oh yeah, I do. I'm going to put this little round one first in yellow. And then this green one. Now I want to make sure I've got it all here. And I can still get a little stopper on the top. And it can be any kind of beads. I'm just using what I have. And then I'm going to take my pliers and grab the wire and bend it. And as you're holding these, like you can probably tell, I've kind of bent everything in here, and that's okay because you can easily straighten it with your fingers. And taking my round nose pliers, I'm just going to roll, catching at the very end. I hope I've been, yeah, catching the very end of it. I'm just going to roll it until I close it. In this case, I'm going to close it completely, so that both ends are together. And that's another thing. These pins are strong enough that, you know, it's very easy to roll these. And so now I have this cute little flower here. Now it's a little bit sticking out here on the bottom. So, I mean, it's a little after the fact, but I'm going to take my scissors. I think I can reach in here and just catch it. I should have checked it a little bit better, but so now it matches nicely. And you can decorate those too. You can use anything to make a nice fancy topper, but I think that turned out really cute. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some chain. Do I have enough here? I'm going to be having some different chains, it looks like. Okay, this is conveniently on a lobster claw, but I'm going to save that for the top, I think. And so I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to cut it about there. I think it depends on what you plan to use it for, how long it is. But they just turn out so cute. Okay, so I'm going to save that one for the top. So it will just sit on here afterwards with the lobster claw. But now I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to take this chain off of here. So a great way to use up some broken jewelry, or, you know, maybe you have a roll of chain. And if you don't, PandaHall sells it too. Like you can buy whole rolls of like 5-10 meters of chain. Oh, this one's a little heavier. So I'll just take that. And the chain, now the jump ring I'm going to keep. And the chain doesn't have to match perfectly. Like there's another oddball piece on here. So this is probably from the back hanger on your, where you close it on your neck with the lobster claw. I'm just going to take that off there. And this has a little ball. Oh, maybe I'll keep that as one of the charms. Then that's one less charm to add on. But now I'm going to take these two pieces. And this is quite a long flower. So if the ball is right about here, yeah, it's going to just barely hang down on the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. And then we'll leave this one longer and save that for another project. I'm just going to use 3. And since I've got a jump ring open, I'm going to take this jump ring. Feed that long one on. Like, there are no rules. I mean, you know, they say the rule of thirds, but there are no rules. So I can have long ones or short ones. And you can always trim it down if it's too long. So opening this up now, I'm just going to feed it on that eye hole there, that eye loop. It's not something that you can easily see what I'm doing, not super easy, but I'm just putting this jump ring on to hold the chain, and it's onto the eye pin at the bottom of the bead that we made. And now my chains are hanging down. And again, I'm going to use an assortment of beads now on the head pins to attach to this chain. Now this chain has a really nice size loop, so it'll be easy to put on with the jump ring. So taking a small stopper bead and a spacer. And what did we use? Well, we used a combination. I've got this great big green bead. Let's use that one. It's got green. It's a lampwork bead, so I'm going to put that one, I think, on there. Oh yeah, that's cute. And then another one here at another spacer bead at the top, and another one of these little stoppers. So I've got that. Taking the pliers, I'm going to fold that down, cut it down to 1/4 inch. Now this little piece is too small to do anything with, so I'm going to let it go. But those other pieces that I put in here, I'm going to show you after. And so then taking my round nose, I'm going to make a loop to close it. I really went crooked on this one. Okay, do that one more time. Okay, got it closed. And I'm going to need 3 of these jump rings. And opening up the jump ring, slipping the bead on it, slipping it on the chain, and closing it all up. I know that Caroline is making a fairy journal, and she was going to be showing it to us when it's all done. I hope we get to see it, and maybe she'll make some of these things. Now, what else have I got in here in green? I've got this one. I've got another little one here. I've got this one in green. I've got a green and a yellow. I think that's about it. So if I use those 3 with the one and those 2 with the other one. 2 more head pins. So you see, you go through a few head pins when you're doing this. So you may want to get this great big bag. And it's a lot of fun. I know I will definitely use this in no time at all. Okay, let's put a spacer. And this one. And the fun thing about these head pins is they hold a lot. So I recommend getting the longer ones. Like these are 2-inch long, because then you can put a lot of beads on these, so you can really make a statement if you're doing something. And I'm going to put this one on here. And the fun part about using random beads is you get these random beads used up. So if you have those odds and ends, I keep this little container, and it's amazing how many times I go into this container to create something. Like, isn't that adorable? And then taking my pliers, I'm just going to make that elbow to hold the beads in place. cut it down with my cutters to 1/4 inch. Again, this one's a little bit too small to keep. And then taking my round nose, I'm going to roll that close to make an eye pin at the top. So there it is. If you made 2 of them, you'd have a pair of earrings. And then jump ring. Feed the dangle onto it. So this could be charms as well as dangles. It doesn't have to be beads. It can be charms. And then closing it. Now, again, these are soft enough that I can use my fingers to do that. And I bent the wire a little bit, so I'm just going to bend it straight again. So that's 2. And we have 1 more to do. Same thing. Stopper, spacer, fancy bead, spacer, flat little green bead. These are glass beads, by the way. Spacer. And then this little tiny bead. One of them, whichever one will get on here. And then holding them all together. Folding the wire down. Cutting the wire. And taking the needle nose, or the round nose, sorry, I keep saying that, and closing it. And another bead. This one's got a little bit of blue in it. And then taking my jump ring, opening up the jump ring, putting the dangle on it. Where's that last piece of chain here? Feeding that on there and closing the jump ring. It's that simple. And I now have this dangle, but we're still missing the top. Where did my top go? Here it is. Okay, let's put the top on it. So I need another jump ring. I'm going to be making a few more of these after. Okay, opening them up. So this was the piece of chain that had the lobster claw on it. So it is ready now to hook onto something. So I just cut the chain to, well, it's not an inch. It's a little bit bigger than an inch, but that's okay. They can be different lengths. It doesn't have to be an inch. And I'm going to add this on to the top. And then again, soft enough that I can manage it with my fingers, closing that jump ring. And to decorate this one, now you can see how the beads are coming down. This is going to look super cute on a book, on a spine. I think this would just be gorgeous on a spine. I was going to suggest a butterfly, and I just happen to have this here. No, it's too big. Too bad, eh? It is the right color. Is it too big? A little bit, huh? Just a little bit. Too bad, because that would have been so darn cute. But I would just put like a little green butterfly or something on here. And so there are my fairy flower tassels that you can use for your fairy journals. And you can see silk flowers, some chain, some beads, and some very basic tools and basic supplies, jump rings, spacer beads, head pins, and whatever other beads you have in your stash to make these fun little dangles. Now I had one more made here. Here we go. I had this one made, and this one I put a longer bead at the top, and I and I had put a head pin on this one, so this one won't have anything on the bottom, but it's equally nice. Although this one reminds me of a feather duster. But once I have a chain on here, it will be quite pretty as well. So I hope you got an idea out of that, and that you can play around and make some of these yourself. Yeah, I'm going to put a butterfly. I don't have one on the table, but a little green butterfly would be so cute on there, won't it? I will show you more of these when I get more done, because now I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to play for a little while and make more of them, because I think they're going to be so fun for fairy journals for sure. Like a woodlands journal. You can match your papers and your flowers. You can dye the flowers. You can cut your flowers out of fabrics, or use your handmade papers to make some fun flowers. Coffee filters will cut some nice flowers. So lots of options. But of course, silk flowers are readily available and easy to come by. So you can certainly. That was a double thing, didn't I? I said that twice. Okay, well, I'm trying to show you twice. Anyway, this is the supplies that I've used from PandaHall. And all the links to PandaHall are down below. So if you're interested, do go and visit them and check out their site. But be prepared to be there for a while, because they do have a lot of stuff to offer. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. What am I going to do with all these little ends that are left over? That one might be a little bit small, but these are certainly not that small. I do keep these wires. Excuse me. And then I take my round nose pliers and I make an eye loop right at the top, right from the get-go. So these usually sit in this bucket unless I have beads to put on these. So in this case, I have these medium-sized white pearls. And I'm just going to add that. Maybe I can add a couple little... It's whatever I have. And so in this case, I would add maybe that. I can probably put a spacer bead at the bottom, because I just fill them with whatever I have. And then now, is it long? Oh yeah, I can fit another little small one on the top. A little bit tight, but that's okay. And then taking my pliers, I'm just going to make another eye loop at the top here. And I just keep these for when I need a project where I need a little bit of an extra dangle to dangle from them. So these ones were made using the leftover wires, but these were too small to add other beads, so I just put the single pearl on here. But this is a great way to, all I have to do now is, I have a loop at either end, so I can add some chain, I can add a charm on here, I could link these together with a little bit of a jump ring, and keep going and going and make myself a long chain if I want. So lots of options. So I never throw these extra wires away, but I do try to do them right away so that they're done, because otherwise you got all these bits and pieces. So if you take the time to do them right away when you're working, and then in no time at all, you have a pile of these. As you can see, I've been doing them, and I have a few sitting here, and I think there's one in here that I did the other day. So whenever I have them, and then when I have a lot of them, I just keep them in a separate container, and then I can source from there when I need something quick. So yeah, I just put an eye loop at the top, add the pearl, but first I check to see how much room I have. Don't have much room on this one, so I'm going to call it done like that. So just bending the wire, and I'm going to cut that wire down just a teeny bit because it's a little bit long. 1/4 inch is what you need to make an eye loop. So once you get used to, for me, I know just by looking at my finger, but if you have something that you can measure against, just measure it. And in no time at all, you will get used to doing these, and you will know how to have enough to do an eye loop. So there again, ready to go and add on to a project. This one's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. I can fix that up. Just bend it back. There you go. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much to PandaHall for the opportunity to showcase your products and to make all these fun creations. I know I'm going to enjoy using these in my work. Like I said, a little bit of glitter, sparkles. You could add sequins. You could stitch on there. You can have things dangling from the flower. Oh, I could go on and on and on with this, but it's just fun, and what a great way to get started. Thank you again for watching. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye for now.